Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with 12 surprisingly successful recordings by unexpected conductors. It's not that it was unexpected that these people were conducting. It's unexpected that these conductors did so well in this repertoire for which they were definitely not known. But, great conductors can do great things. And it really is kind of remarkable that they did such great things in some of these pieces. So let's get right to it, shall we? Bruckner, Symphony number 9, Leonard Bernstein on Deutsche Grammophon with the Vienna Philharmonic. He actually recorded Bruckner 9 twice. He also did it with the New York Phil. The performances are very, very similar. And both of them are really, really good. Some people object to the expressiveness that Bernstein brings to the music, this sensual sort of yummy second subject or song subject in the first movement, for example. But, lots of other cranky German conductors who do that too, and nobody complains. The wonderful thing about it is just how idiomatic the performance is. It really is. I mean, it doesn't misrepresent anything that Bruckner wants, but it also has its own character. The scherzo is particularly noteworthy because Bernstein takes it at quite a slow, heavy pace, but it works. It works really, really well. And the adagio is very, very intense. Oh my goodness, the big climax really grinds it out. Oh, it's fine. The Vienna Phil, of course, does great Bruckner 9s all the time. I mean, there's the Giulini, and then there's Meta, and there's this, and it does some real sucky ones like Telemann and people like that. But this is first class and quite surprising coming from Bernstein. Next, Mahler, since we did Bruckner, Mahler, Symphony number 2 with Herbert Blomstedt on Decca. Blomstedt isn't known as a Mahler guy. He recently recorded a Mahler 9th, which was quite tepid, but this Mahler 2 is just smoking. My goodness, it's powerful. It's fabulously recorded. It's with San Francisco. It has the Rafati organ at the end. It's very well recorded. Wow, baby. Nobody would have thought of this, even though Blomstedt was wonderful at Richard Strauss and other late romantic stuff. But, generally speaking, he is known for having the somewhat cool Scandinavian temperament, which works really well in like Sibelius and Nielsen and things like that. But Stenhammer, he's a Stenhammerian. But this Mahler 2 is as good as any. It's a fantastic performance. It helps, of course, that he has the San Francisco Symphony, which is a wonderful, wonderful orchestra that's up to doing all the things and making all the sounds without Blomstedt having to specifically ask them to, because he's on record as he's one of those people saying that like Bernstein's Mahler is tasteless, and he was reserved, and Mahler is not a reserved composer, and so you have to sort of worry what's going to happen when somebody of that temperament takes it on. But this was one of those occasions where he was totally into the work and everything went right. It's phenomenal. Beethoven's Eroica, Leopold Stokowski on RCA. This is an amazing performance, really. Stokowski recorded a lot of Beethoven, of course, but he did it strangely. The seventh with like all the repeats missing, and then he reorchestrated things all over the place, and he was not temperamentally what you think of as a Beethoven guy. I mean, he was such a chord guy. He liked big sensual sounds and luscious, rich things, and he wasn't afraid to intervene hugely when it suited him. But this Eroica is just wonderful. It's a strictly by the book, exciting. It has its Stokeisms. I mean, sounds that are wonderfully vivid, but not wrong. I mean, not really. The trio of the scherzo with the hunting horns, for example. I mean, he does things to create vivid moments and washes of color. But all of these in this performance are clearly within the ambit of, what Beethoven intended. And it has no dead spots whatsoever. It's a powerful performance. And Stokowski thanks the orchestra. It's on RCA, and afterwards he does a little talk, I want to thank you for your achievement. You did something, he said, that was noble. And it is. It's amazing. And he was like 150 when he did it, which is even more amazing. Brahms third with Solti in Chicago on Decca. Solti was sort of a slash and burn kind of guy. He wasn't known for his subtlety. And I was shocked that his Brahms cycle is as good as it is. It's really, really good. Like really every one of the top cycles out there. It's first class. And the third symphony is the one that everybody screws up. I mean, everybody just messes with it. And perhaps because Solti was such a straight ahead, take no prisoners kind of conductor, he does really well with the third. You got to give him credit. I mean, he has no issues. It's direct. It's exciting. It's really well played. He just nails it. And I was really absolutely, gobsmacked, as my friends down under say. I had a gob smacking me. It's that good. It really is. Stravinsky, The Rite of Spring. Oh, this is a hoot. Ottmar Suitner with the Staatskapelle Dresden on Berlin Classics. We've talked about this performance amongst ourselves many times because it was such a surprise. First of all, the Staatskapelle Dresden sounds like they're having the time of their lives. I mean, yes, at times it seems you might be able to hear them counting, but who cares? I mean, they just play the crap out of the piece. The brass go completely nuts. I mean, they've got percussion, they've got everything's there. Suitner, who, isn't known as the most compelling podium presence, was really a much better conductor than people give him credit for. And while the tempi may be moderate, the ferocity is not. Oh, wow, this is a vicious, exciting performance. And when that babe dances herself to death at the end with the virtuoso timpanists going completely ape, oh, you believe it. You better believe it. That's a fantastic performance of The Rite of Spring from a totally unexpected source. It just goes to show that we have to keep on listening, and you can't really prejudge anything because you never know what's going to happen. Then Nielsen, Symphony number 4, The Inextinguishable with Jean Martinon and the Chicago Symphony on RCA. I really wonder how it came about that RCA decided that they needed to get the Nielsen fourth with Martinon conducting. Martinon was a fabulous conductor, and he did tons and tons and tons of French repertoire. I mean, as well as anyone ever has. I mean, he was a composer, so he approached music with a composer's ear for clarity and detail. But he was a generalist. He could do anything. He did a great Mahler third in Chicago too, and it's much better than Solti's, for example. And this Nielsen 4 is one of the top 2 or 3 recordings ever made. It's thrilling, absolutely thrilling, a spectacular performance. And then there's, of course, Debussy, La Mer. Everybody records La Mer. Not everybody records La Mer very well. Not everybody records La Mer as well as George Szell and the Cleveland Orchestra, who you never would have thought would have done that. He coupled it with, I think, the second suite from Daphnis and Chloe, which is also very good. Szell was not a French guy. He was not into chord music. He was into line music. He wasn't into fuzzy textures and, light and shade and that sort of stuff, unless it was in Mozart. He wanted line, clarity, and he needed developmental interest. That was sort of his thing. He was German standard repertoire all the way up and down the line, basically. And he did it superbly well, at least his recordings. His concerts actually featured a lot more music than you would think, and stuff that you would never know that he would do, and contemporary music too. I mean, he was very selective, but he had his range. French stuff is a shock, and it's a great La Mer. It's absolutely fantastic. It's what happens sometimes when people select repertoire that they're not known for, and then just have the time of their lives with it. They just say, okay, maybe this isn't my thing, but I am going to do it. And because Szell had such high standards executionally anyway, he would never permit anything second rate to pass his baton. He delivers a fantastic La Mer. I played it for a friend of mine, who was very, very into La Mer and Debussy, and he was French, and he understood French stuff, Frenchified Frenchity French. And I played it without telling him who it was, and he was dazzled when he found out. Oh, yeah. Brahms, a German Requiem. Now we're turning everything on its head. We had the German guy do the French stuff. Now we're going to have the French guy do the German stuff. Brahms' German Requiem with Ansermet on Decca. Well, he does have the Vienna Phil, I think, with this, doesn't he? I believe so. But it's a surprisingly idiomatic and effective performance. It really is. I never would have believed that Ansermet would be happy doing the German Requiem, but he is. He is, and it's gorgeous. Beautifully sung, beautifully played, very sensibly paced, totally musical in all the ways it has to be musical. I mean, he was a mathematician, so the fugues are not surprising in their clarity of line, I suppose. But boy, it's awfully good, and I never would have thunk it. What about Muti's Mahler first? Riccardo Muti was not a Mahler guy. I mean, and I actually sort of thought he should have been, because it seemed to me he could have done that music extremely well. It might have sounded maybe a bit like James Levine, that very disciplined, taut, rhythmic kind of approach. But he certainly had no problem, letting an orchestra go crazy, as his Verdi Requiems and other things show. And his Mahler one with Philadelphia is one of the great ones. And it doesn't sound like anybody else's. I mean, that's what's really cool about it. It's not something that, you'd think was in his wheelhouse, that he would be doing all that regularly. But when he did do it, he really gave 100%. And that's what you need, whether, it's familiar or unfamiliar repertoire, stuff that you're temperamentally suited to or unsuited to. If you have, real musical ability and talent, and you give something 100%, you're going to get good results. And boy, does he get good results here. Then there's the Reiner recording of Manuel de Falla's El Amor Brujo with Leontine Price. This is a double outside the Fach thing. I mean, Price is kind of a riot. She's good, but idiomatic? Oh, gosh, no. She's sort of screaming at us in Spanish. And she has that crazy chest voice that was sort of detached from the rest of her range. So when she gets down into it, it's like, wow. I mean, my goodness. I mean, it's, oh, you hit the persig. And she sounds like a bass. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And Reiner, of course, was wonderful at all kinds of colorful, late romantic stuff. I mean, that was his thing. But this is not a pedal to the metal orchestral showpiece. And it's not, a German symphonic work, which was the other thing that Reiner did. Reiner adored this music, especially the pantomime, which he takes very slowly. Da 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 da. Ya da 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 dum bum ba. No, it's a love fest in this performance from everybody, and whether or not you think it's Nati Mistral and Rafael Frubeck de Burgos or people like that who really have the Spanish stuff down pat. It's 100% dedicated performance, and again, that's what it takes. You have everybody just screaming and playing their hearts out, and you get really cool results. Bach, the St. John Passion with Eugene Ormandy and the Philadelphia Orchestra. Who would have thunk it? This is a really good, complete, fantastic St. John Passion with normal instruments, but good tempos, beautifully paced, wonderfully well sung. Oh my gosh, what a shock. What a shock this thing was. And it was in that big Ormandy box, the last one. And everybody heard it and just went, ah! Holy Moses. Oh, it's funny, though. It's not as crazy as it sounds in the sense that, Ormandy was as involved as Stokowski was in making Bach transcriptions. He played a lot of Bach. He recorded a bunch of Bach. Of course, it was modern Bach on modern instruments, organ stuff rescored, and all of that stuff. It was totally not authentic, but it was musical. It was very musical. It was very, very much in keeping with the spirit of whatever Bach was up to. And so when he came to do the St. John Passion, it really sounds like he just knew it, loved it, and was going to give it the performance of a lifetime. And he does. And it's like, whoa, knock me over with a pin. But there it is. And last but not least, Haydn's Paris Symphonies with Karajan and the Berlin Phil. Now, Karajan did all the London symphonies. And I remember, H.C. Robbins Landon said it was the best Haydn conducting he'd ever heard in his life and all that. Yuck. They're heavy. They're slow. They have some fabulous orchestral sonorities. And the idea is right, because you should do big band Haydn. Haydn should be played like Beethoven. Let's put it that way. I mean, because that's where Beethoven got a lot of what makes Beethoven Beethoven. And it needs to be played with incredible vigor and verve and a big sound with lots of contrast. So to that extent, I was with Karajan, but the timpani were soggy, and as usual, part of it was the digital recording wasn't very good. But he did the Paris symphonies, and they were fabulous. With the same basic approach. It's livelier than the London symphonies. They're less heavy than the London symphonies in these performances. And the orchestra sounds absolutely fabulous. I mean, the finale of The Bear is just to die for. It's absolutely smoking. And they're just wonderful, wonderful things in all of these performances. Gorgeous, gorgeous playing, but also lively and muscular and all the things the music needs. They shocked me to death, but I still enjoy them. I enjoy them very, very much. They were a huge and very, very welcome surprise. So there you have it. 12 surprisingly successful recordings by unexpected conductors. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me, and take care.